Okay. Welcome to another episode of Warriors Whiteboard Wednesday. Daishihan Miller here from Warrior Concepts International here in East Central Pennsylvania. For those of you in the United States, if not, that's where it is. Anyway, all right. So, going to jump into things. What we're looking at today is attacking unseen points. The hell is that? It's like invisible or whatever. Well, we're going to take a look at 4 of these, but before we jump into that, I've run some surveys on my YouTube pages, talking to people and whatnot, right? If you've had a chance to see any of our stuff, right? As a matter of fact, today, April 26th of 2023, we just went over 550,000 views, right? So, yay us. Anyway, a lot of the comments, right, are directed around, I don't know, the fat old bald guy, whatever. People are easily distracted. Doesn't matter to me as long as they keep commenting, telling YouTube, people like this stuff, keeps jacking up our stuff. It's all good, right? But here's the thing. A lot of these comments are centered around, somebody will say something doesn't work or whatever. Every once in a while, I'll comment, right? Of course, it's not going to work if you don't know how to do it. It's not going to work for you because you don't think of it, those kind of things, right? And somebody every once in a while will bark back, right? And that's what they're doing too. They're just barking like a little dog on the porch, right? They'll bark back that everybody knows, blah, 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 right? That you fight this way, that you do this or whatever. I have a question. If everybody knows, don't you think that creates a problem? If you're trying to win a fight, let's set what fights aside, right? Because my take is I don't build fighters, right? I teach people how to protect themselves from the evil in the world. And I know that sounds all lofty and woo-woo, right? But I'm going about my business. You're going about your business. And some jackass decides that they're going to take something from you. Could be, who knows, your wallet, your kids, your life, whatever, right? Those are 2 completely different situations, right? There's a huge difference. And again, people pointing out my shape and things like that, like what? Middle-aged or older guys, women, whatever, right? They're never going to be attacked, right? Only 20-something bulls who got something to prove, right? Who do you think is more likely to get mugged, right? Somebody in the prime of their life who owns shit and probably has a wallet full of stuff worth taking, right? Or a 20-something who's living day to day or paycheck to paycheck, blowing all their money at the bar on Saturday night and has got nothing, right? Nothing but an ego so that anybody that says anything, right, I got to defend that. Well, if that's the only value you have to defend, I'm sorry, but I'm sure you're working on it and it'll get better, right? So now that those people have clicked off the damn video because I've offended them, fantastic, right? But if we fight like everybody else, right, when we're trying to defend ourselves, there are 3 major problems with this, okay? So the first problem, right, is that he knows. What does he know? He knows what you're going to do, right? He's been there before. If he has experience attacking people, he has fight experience or whatever, and you fight like him, he already knows what you're going to do, right? So you're already at a disadvantage. I'll talk about this in a minute, right? But he already knows what you're going to do. So this feeds into number 2, which is it forces you, right, to fight harder and faster. To fight harder and faster. Okay, you just have to throw a bunch more at it. Okay, but what happens on the day that you're going to the drugstore or the apothecary or whatever whatever you call it in your area, right? The drugstore, because you got the flu, you barely crawled your ass out of bed, and either you don't have anybody in your life who would run to the drugstore for you, or you don't have anybody in your life who's willing to go to the drugstore for you because they're self-involved or scrolling on their phones, right? What happens on those days? I don't give a shit how fast or strong you are. On those days, life is not going well, and your body is barely holding its own. So harder and faster is not an option. But let's take a look at number 3. Okay. Number 3 is the difference between the fight and self-defense paradigm. Okay. There's a huge difference. Okay. most of these jackasses that comment on these things, right, or that go around, and I found that they comment on everybody. So it's not just the fat old bald guy. They're commenting on people that are 20-something and slim, but they know their shit too, right? They're thinking here, right? So in their head, what are they thinking? They're thinking, win this fight, teach this guy a lesson, I got bragging rights tomorrow, whatever, right? What are we thinking here? I'm going to do whatever the hell I have to do to get the hell out of here. So if I need to remove one of your eyeballs or both, or I need to yank your crotch, your junk off your body, right? So I have DNA evidence or whatever it is, because this is not about winning, right? This one's not about winning, not winning anything, right? And getting the privilege to go home, okay? So the whole thought process is different, right? So here's what you need to think about in this situation, which covers everything, right? If someone attacks you, it's a mugging, shit, they got your name, whatever it is, right? And they're going out of their way to attack you. This is not a mutually agreed upon, let's see what happens kind of shit, right? This is somebody is actually attacking you to beat, break, kill you, own your wife and kids, whatever it is, right? Here's the thing. He has already cut you from the herd. He has already assessed you and determined that he has the advantage or what he needs to have the advantage, and has already created that before he approaches you. This is an uphill climb. Faster and harder, you can fight faster and harder all you want, right? But if he has you by the face or the throat and his arms are longer than your reach or whatever, you can do faster and harder all you want, but you're going to look like a 6-year-old flailing at the air while you've got your hand on their forehead, okay? So there's a big problem to this. Everybody knows, okay? If everybody knows, I'm not doing that. We'll talk about that at the end. We'll round this out. I've got 4 types of unseen points that we're going to be attacking. Because again, remember, Whiteboard Wednesday here is not about showing you techniques. That's what we do during the Friday call, right? What the hell happened to my little thing here? Sorry, I need to change my graphic because the one that's up does not have the page for those who like to sign up for our Ninpo Masterclass, right? That's not the right one either. What the hell happened? There's a Friday virtual call. There it is. Friday virtual training. That's the one, right? So hopefully it changed on your screen. Anyway, all right. Where's my eraser? Be well prepared, Sensei. Well, click away. Go to somebody that's more entertaining, right? Shit happens. All right. Anyway, all right. Got a brand new whiteboard for you guys. For some of you, you know that a couple of weeks ago, right? This one fell right off the easel and broke. It did it before class, but either way, I've had to figure things out. But anyway, all right. The premise of this is you can't fight like everybody else. If you fight like everybody else, again, he's going to know what you're doing because that's what everybody does, right? So he has experience dealing with that, and he probably has some pretty cool defenses against it, right? It forces you, if you're going to do that, it forces you to fight faster, harder, try to have some tricky adolescent kind of tricks, right? Like I'm going to psych you out over here and punch you over there. Well, you know what? Everybody has shit like that, right? And again, we have to separate survival here. We have to remember that this is not an even fight. It's not a fair fight, okay? A lot of people have a problem with cheating, right? Because it's not a fair fight, man. You don't cheat, right? You got your honor. He already cheated, right? This is not agreed upon fight. He attacked somebody slower, weaker, older, whatever. He gave himself the advantage already. It's the ultimate cheat. So I'm not cheating. I'm doing what he did. I'm rearranging the odds in my favor. And if you can't do that, then I wish you well. Okay? All right. So let's talk about unseen points, right? Unseen points, right? What we mean by unseen points, because we can come at this from different perspectives, and how to attack each one. I'm just giving you a couple of like high level kind of things because Whiteboard Wednesday is about tactics and strategies, not about techniques. Techniques we do on Friday. Okay. So again, going back to, you can't fight like everybody else. So if you're not a thinker, if you don't see yourself as a tactician or somebody who wants to be, if you don't see yourself as a strategist or somebody who wants to be, right? If you don't have some pre-planned frameworks that you're going to use, when Joe Cool Jackwagon comes out, right? You just want to execute Seion, Tangeki, whatever caught the name, right? You're going to stick to your style. You're going to whatever. Again, and I mentioned style, right? A lot of Ninjutsu people start to get, their feathers all ruffled and all that, but Ninjutsu is not a style, okay? It's a framework of principles and concepts that can be applied in different areas, okay? Ninjutsu is about how we think about things to produce results, success, and to achieve our goals with the least amount of wear and tear on ourselves in the process, okay? All right, so let's talk about 4 types of unseen targets, right? We're going to break these down into 2 major groups, and then each one will have 2 subsets. Are there others? Yeah, but what do you expect for free, right? So anyway, first one, right? We're just going to term as obvious, okay? In Japanese, this is omute, right? This is frontal. This is what everybody sees, right? If I'm looking at a house, right, and my friend's standing next to me, right, and I start to look over, and he goes, "What color is that house?" And I go, "It's white," right? I'm only partially right, right? I might luck out, and people will go, "Well, see, I told you so," because we find out that the entire house is white, right? But what can I see? People will make snap judgments based on what they see and then assume everything else, okay? And then they either get pissed off if they're wrong or gloat. See, told you. Fuck it, you were lucky, okay? So don't count that as a success, right? You can trip over cracks in the sidewalk all day long and think that your balance is great just because you didn't fall down, but you tripped along the sidewalk all day long. So anyway, right? So we got this obvious omute kind of thing, and then we have non-obvious. And today I'm using the term non-obvious, not something else, right? But in Japanese, ura, so this is the hidden aspect, but I don't want to keep using the word hidden because we're talking about unseen points or hidden points, right? But how are they hidden, okay? So let's go back to our house analogy, right? Hey, what color is that house, okay? An enlightened person says it's white on this side. What do you mean it's white on this side? What color is the house? What I can see is white. But we're going to have to walk around the whole house to understand it. Just like moving around the concept of combat or self-protection or whatever, and being able to look at it from different perspectives to have a broader, deeper sense and understanding. Okay? This is something that people miss. People run around trying to learn techniques and cool moves. But what they miss is that the stuff that's been passed down has been passed down from people who literally studied warfare, how to thin the herd, right? Scientifically, they studied warfare for 1,000 years. And then we're just talking samurai. 1,000 years. I think I might want to listen to what they have to say. Not the guy who just made up his system, threw a brand name on it so he could be the grandmaster, okay? Or some guy that has freaking ideas but has never been in a life or death situation, okay? Again, a lot of you know my background, okay? 80% of the people that I arrested during a certain part of my life, okay, were trained killers, not just guys that were drunk on the street, okay? Not the same, okay? So obvious and non-obvious, right? So what do we mean by obvious, right? Whip out my handy-dandy notes. Again, when I come up with one of these little topics or whatever, I sit down. It took me, I don't know, 8 minutes, 10 minutes or whatever, just to write this stuff out so you have it. But I want to make sure I don't miss anything. Okay? So what do we mean by obvious, right? So first one are targets that are hidden from view. Right? Targets hidden from view. Okay? That means he can't see them from where he is, okay? When I say obvious targets, I mean he knows these are targets on his body, okay? But he can't see them from where he is, okay? You can't see your own throat without a mirror. You have a hard time. You can't see the temple, but you can see to like the corner of the ocular socket, but you can't see that. You can't see this point back here called chidome, right? That one might be a stretch because that's gonna be down here, okay? But there's things that we know we have, okay? But we can't see them with our eyes, okay? So my joke in class with people is you can't see that from where you are, right? You can't see your face from where you are. Well, you can use a mirror. Yeah, but with your faculties, without that mirror, you can't see your own face, okay? So these are targets that are hidden from view, right? So we can access these things, right? How do we do that? Well, we have to come in from either under his sight line or we have to use a different tactic, okay? We have to have him busy doing something else, like missing and exposing himself so that in that moment I can attack it, right? So he can't see it, and by the time he sees the strike coming, it's too late, okay? But again, that's timing. That this goes way, way deep. I'm staying, Goodyear blimp over the football game kind of level here, right? So again, targets are hidden from view. Your throat, kidney, right? Back of your knee. I mean, you could, you can see it, but whatever, okay? Right? The second type of obvious targets, right, are targets that are hidden from view temporarily, okay? So they're hidden from view for only a second, like a microsecond, all right? So an example of that is he throws a punch, right? And I attack this point right here, his floating rib, okay? If he were right in front of me and I went for his floating rib, he can see that coming and he already knows this. And because he can see it, doesn't matter how fast I am, the subconscious mind will fire things to pull that part away, to cover and whatnot. But when he throws a punch, right, this arm, this piece right here, now covers the sight line. And there's a blind spot right here. Not on me, it's over here. So if I shift out of the way and punch into what I know to be a blind spot, this is one of the things that when Hatsumi Sensei was teaching for decades, right? He talked about attacking the unseen points, right? So that's the big thing, okay? With these things, right? He knows he has a jaw, right? So I go for that. It doesn't matter if I hit his jaw to knock his head up or he pulls his head to save his jaw. I can go from here and then slam this point right into his throat, okay? Because now it's even more invisible. And again, there's something else that's going on that contributes to the invisibility. We'll talk about that at the end. I got a bonus hidden point for you, okay? That will take care of everything else, right? So again, targets hidden from view, targets that are hidden temporarily, okay? We have a technique called ashidome, right? Leg stop, right? So this guy throws a kick, right? I shift to the outside of this kick and I sink down low, and then I punch or tackle the inside of his base knee joint, right? And for a lot of these guys that do like Taekwondo or Muay Thai kicking and stuff like that, where there's a lot of torque that goes on in the hip and the knee, right? All you have to do is bump that knee out of position enough. You don't have to break it. You just need to misalign it enough that it's now in a position that the human body can't hold its own weight. And because of the extra torque going on, it will break itself. It will unscrew itself. Okay. Let's see. In here, well, we'll talk about some of these other ones we get down here. There's some really, really cool ones. Okay. And again, that's kind of a hinting at a way to attack something to help him or to help you, right? But what you're going to do is make him an accomplice to his own ass kicking. Okay. But people just tend to learn the moves. Like if I step over here and I hit his knee, I can wreck everything and all. Yeah, but why? Why does that work? Right? Because the average knee, and it doesn't matter if it's mine or Arnold Schwarzenegger's, only takes about 16 pounds or 64, or 65 pounds of pressure, 65 pounds of pressure to break it. Okay. So this is great for the smaller person, right? In Sun Tzu's Art of War, there's a whole chapter on using strong points against weak points. That doesn't mean I have to have a big, strong weapon. That means that the weapon or the technique or tactic that I use has to be stronger than the target it's applied to. Okay? This is not a strong weapon if I'm going after somebody's skull or chest or whatever. But their eyeball, their throat, plenty strong. Okay? All right, let's look at non-obvious ones. Okay? So the first one is he doesn't know, right? Let's see. Let's make this a simple thing, right? He's unaware, right, of the target. Okay. For those of you who train, have you ever been in class and you've been shown a technique and you go, holy shit, I didn't even know I had that part of my body. Okay. Let alone that it could be hurt, right? So he's unaware that there's a target that can be used, right? That's there, right? He knows his body parts. Right? We know thighs, we know shins, calves, that kind of stuff, right? But let's make my little drawing of a leg here. Foot, calf, kneecap, shin, whatever, right? This is the outside of a leg. Outside of a leg. There's a point right there. Kick it with the tip of your shoe or your toes or whatever, right? Right there. Burns like a son of a bitch and causes his hip to give out, so he drops. In that moment, when he goes into that moral response and he's not fighting you, he's fighting gravity, and he's like his body's responding to that thing, you kill him or, you know, whatever, right? Okay. So most people have no idea that there's a weak point, a Kyusho right there. So if he doesn't know it, he can't defend against it. Okay. There's lots of targets on the body like this. Okay. Didn't even know they had it, right? Inside of the wrist. Okay. Right here. Okay. They know they have this, right? They know they have a wrist, but they don't know about this nerve bundle that's in here that can be attacked and it'll shut things down all the way up to the shoulder joint. Okay. That chidome, right? So there's a combination of it's hidden from view always, right? You can't see it from where you are, right? But they're unaware of the target. So there's this chidome target right here, right? Chidome means blood stop. If you end up getting a tension headache, if you tried lots of things, you can massage down on this point because most Kyusho are they can be used for health things as well. What's happening is fluids are pooling in here and it's causing pressure at the base of your skull. So by massaging that out, you move it into the body so that the body's, you know, circulation system can clear that shit out, right? And it can help things go away. But if you don't know, you have it, right? So when I come in for, a lot of you probably know the kata from the Gyoko school in the Kyorapo, Ichimonji no kata, right? So we move, catch this thing, and we come in, and most people are striking the uko, side of the head, whatever, okay? What I was taught as a secret in the Gyoko-ryu with this technique is that I don't hit this. I go past it. So for the heartbeat, to him, it feels like I missed. But what I end up doing is hooking back and striking this point back here. So one of the primary principles in the Gyoko school is you circle behind the attacker. That doesn't mean I need to run around behind him. It means I'm attacking, right? So he's going to move to cover this because that's the obvious thing. And when it bypasses, while he's busy thinking, ha, I'm going to tag him here, and it doesn't send him that way. It sends him forward off this thing, right? It's an unseen point, but most people don't even know that that's a weak point, so they don't guard it, right? Okay. And then the second one, right? The second one is that he forgot he had it. Okay. So he forgot. In the heat of the fight, I forgot that the bones at the top of my foot are pencil-sized and easily broken if he stomps on them. Okay. But the other thing that happens with this is it may not be a forgot. In more cases than not, right? I know that all just blended together, right? It's unthinkable. He doesn't think of the target that we're looking at. That's a target. Okay? Right? They're weapons, right? They're really good targets. The whole unit is a weapon, except we're in here striking these things, right? Because he doesn't think about guarding them, right? No one guards the weapon, which is why in our art, right? I have a new student that is going to be doing Bojutsu, right? On a private basis. It'll probably turn into some other training as well because it all goes together. But in our Bojutsu, right? there's this idea of bofuri, right? Stick turning. And I don't mean like twirling around and showing off and all that, although that's how a lot of people think about it. Bofuri, right? Stick turning, right? While you're moving around, and then your technique comes from that, right? The idea with bofuri is not just to keep him off guard. That's one point, right? Keep him confused, off guard, not knowing where the attack's going to come from, right? But its primary purpose is to guard the weapon. If you keep the weapon in motion, it's harder for him to attack the weapon, right? If you've ever seen these demos with swords or stabs or spear, whatever, right? You're in this kamae, and then people edge together, and then they tap the end of it, or they attack it, knock it out of the way, and then come in and attack, right? If your weapon's in motion, he can't do that, okay? When we're using weapons, most people never consider defending the weapon. When the reality, because of what they're thinking about is going after this stuff, right? You're going after this and these targets and whatnot, right? But he can't attack you without giving you something, right? So targets are unseen. The reason these things work is because we think about things and recognize things and know about things that the average person has no clue about, or they've never thought about it that way. They forgot about it. They dismissed it. They don't know it exists, whatever, okay? It's only unseen to you, or to him. Sorry, it's only unseen to him, right? You know exactly where it is. The trick is in how do you attack it, right? So targets that are hidden from view, but he knows that they're there. Like he knows he needs to guard his groin, he needs to guard his throat, that kind of thing. I need to attack those while he's busy doing something else, right? Either reeling from a shot that I've already done, right? Or I need to come in from an angle that he can't see, right? In the Sanshin no Kata from, for those of you in the Bujinkan and whatnot, right? Chi no Kata, right? This kind of thing with this pendulum striking, right? What's going on with that, okay? Well, it looks very, very natural. It's not straight line. So it doesn't look threatening until it's too late. The second thing is the eyes have a difficult time figuring out where the weapon is going, okay? I did a whole segment on this in a past one of our spring or fall camps, right? If I do this, right, your brain will jump ahead of the finger to look at what is being pointed at. That's how we can point at something from across the room, and the other person will look in that direction, okay? You do that with your dog or your cat, they'll look at the tip of your finger. Very rarely will they ever look beyond that, right? Because their brain doesn't function that way, okay? But if you make an arc, which is why like the Togakure secret sword and some of these Kuji kind of things, when you're doing things, or in Tagagi Yoshin, you come by the face this way. Yes, it distracts, but the brain can't connect the dots to where the endpoint's going to be. Okay, so if I do that, he doesn't know where things are going. But the third thing with this is that this pendulum strike comes in and up from under the peripheral vision. My peripheral vision, this is the edge of it. Right? So when I'm in a fight, right, it's the edge. I can't see anything closer to me than that. So we're sneaking it in from outside the peripheral vision. It's like a magician. Okay. So that's how we attack those. The temporary ones is it requires timing. We have to know when it will be open and what that sight line is, right? So when we attack it, he's busy missing like with these, right? But it's only unseen because part of him is in the way, okay? He can't see it, right? One of these unthinkable ones down here, I've taken somebody down, for a throw or whatever, or I've swept the leg or whatever, and they drop, and instinctively an arm will go out to catch themselves, right? People will often take the advantage and attack the ribs and all that kind of stuff, and that's fine, right? But you also have these big, broad muscles and whatnot, right? How about if we just kick that arm out so that you kick the support out, and now his face meets the ground, and that does more damage in one shot, and it rattles the brain bucket and things like that. But rarely, if ever, do people just like attack the arm that caught them, right? Because they're too busy, again, focusing on this stuff, right? And if I'm in the right position, I'm going to kick the arm so that I snap the elbow or break the wrist. Because now, even if his commitment to continue is still there. I put him in a Black Knight situation for those of you who understand the Monty Python context, right? Gets his arms chopped off, gets his legs chopped off. He's still talking smack, right? Come back here, I'll bite your kneecaps off. It's hilarious. But the problem is he's only talking smack, okay? He's been rendered ineffective, okay? So how do I attack those? The ones he's unaware of, you got carte blanche, right? I'm going to attack it because he's never even thinks of guarding it, okay? He doesn't even know he has a weak spot there, or, you know, he's out here bearing his arms. One of the first lessons my students get when they're learning sparring, right, especially without the gloves, bare knuckle, okay? As every time they drift into range, not this stuff. This is not the leading edge of the body. This is the leading edge of the body. Whatever is closest to me is the leading edge of the body, okay? Every time that breaks the perimeter of the kukan, I'm going to punch those knuckles, those fingers, or the backs of the hand, and I'm going to make him reestablish that, right? Because I want him to know that every time he gets close enough for me to touch something, he runs the risk of losing it. Because the rule is you don't put anything inside the kukan that you're not willing to give up for the rest of your life. And remember the fighter self-defense little thing that was right here? Fighters never think about that because this isn't a do or die situation. This is an ego thing. In a self-defense situation, it's a do or die situation because you don't know how far that one guy's willing to go. It's completely different. Okay? So, again, if he's unaware, attack those things that he never thinks of, right? And what about the unthinkable, right? Where he doesn't think about, like, again, it's the hands are there. What else? I know I throw a couple of things on here, right? The sternum. A lot of people won't punch the center of the chest, right? Because, you know, with gloves on or in a fight or whatever, this is big and broad, okay? Because of the weapon they're using. But if I change the weapon, right? Right? Do you know there's a joint right here in the middle of your sternum? Okay. If I'm reading too long or working this way, this will like tighten up, right? Just because of stretching and flexibility, right? So I just kind of sit up, push that out, and it'll pop, right? Grosses people out sometimes, right? But you can damage that, okay? I have another unaware target. Last night in class, we were working on a Shinden Fudoryu technique that, you know, is a grab kind of thing, and it's kind of a variation of a rear hip throw. It's called Saka Otoshi, right? Throwing them down a slope, or it's a slope drop, that kind of thing, right? So the interesting part isn't necessarily the takedown. It's once they land on the ground, because I'm going to move this guy very, very quickly this way, break his leg or destabilize his leg, and then step in there and kneel. So, but as he goes to the ground, this is on one side or the other of the sternum, right? Where the ribs plug in, right here. Okay? So you know you have a rib cage. People think about rib cages. They might even think about breastbone and ribs. Okay? Remember, we learned from people who studied warfare for 1,000 years or more. Okay? I've been studying this for, what's 1975 till now? 48 years? Okay. I think about things. Okay. And I take these things to heart. So when this guy suddenly stops, it's not the fall that'll kill you. It's that sudden stop at the end. And my hand is right here on that ridge, right? Left or right. And the higher you are, the better, because the ribs get smaller before you get to clavicle, right? Okay. And his body suddenly stops. Now you can't be like this because it'll barely like do a chest compression kind of thing, right? If I'm this way and he suddenly stops, this separates. You break his ribs from his sternum. He doesn't know that's a target. He doesn't know. He never thought about the fact that the ribs can be broken away from, because for most people, a broken ribs are you ran into something, you fell down or whatever, and the rib gets broken where? In the middle. Okay? Floating ribs, really, really dangerous. The attack angle, Not only can you break the floating rib, but you often don't have to break it. I just need to flex it so it stabs something. My mom fell down a bunch of steps when I was, I don't know, 8, somewhere between 8 and 10. Fell down steps, broke a rib. By the time they found out why she was bleeding and lost 5 quarts of blood, over the course of a week, right? Technology wasn't so great in the 60s. Anyway, right? They realized that all the moving around and getting her to the hospital, not only did she break a rib and it impaled her spleen, but it cut her spleen up on the way. Okay. So again, see, my teachers taught me that a Gray's Anatomy or an anatomy book like that is the best ninja manual on the market, not a book with ninja in the title. Okay. Because if you don't understand how the machine works, you don't know what to protect the most and where the priority goes. And if you don't understand how the machine works, you can't make his inoperable. And that's what your goal is. This is combat. It's not about fighting. It's not about trophies and belts, right? Ultimately, this is about combat, martial arts, right? Martial warfare, combat. Okay. So 4 different types. I told you I had a bonus one, right? The 5th unseen point that you should be attacking at all times, right, is his mind. Okay. In Mikyo, in Buddhism, and a lot of spiritual studies, personal development studies, I don't like the word spiritual, right? The first part of everything, okay, in the Togakure Ryu's list of ninja skills, the very first thing, Seishin Teki, personal clarity, personal development, know thyself, these kind of things, right? In Mikyo, right view. Not right like dogmatic, like there's a rule, you have to think this way, right? It's being clear, right? So I'm going to attack his perceptions, his view, and his belief system, okay? And I do that, right, because this here is combining striking with our stealth, right? How to become invisible. I don't have to have all of me can become invisible. I just need the fist, foot, knife, or whatever I'm using to be invisible long enough to do the work that needs to be done, okay? But what I'm talking about now is combining our striking and this stuff here with our Henso Jutsu, our disguise and impersonation, our Ninja no Uge, deception and manipulation. What I need to do is paint a picture in front of him. Remember, he's fighting from the perspective of everybody knows, everybody fights like this. And he's pretty freaking cocky about what he thinks he knows, just like these jackwagons that post all these comments on different martial artist videos and stuff like that, right? They think they fucking know everything, right? And they're the most easily manipulated, okay? Because you don't wrestle a wrestler, you don't kick a Muay Thai or a Taekwondo guy, you don't box a boxer, that kind of thing, right? Because they're already really, really good at it, probably doing it longer than you have, right? And they've got that area sewn up. You don't attack the castle's strengths. You attack the castle's weaknesses, right? And it doesn't have to literally be a castle, okay? So what I'm going to do is spend some of my study time figuring out how a Muay Thai guy stands and how that's different, like where the shoulders are and all that, than the way like a boxer is going to do it, where the shoulders are rolled in, jaws drop, that kind of thing. How's the foot turned in, right? Same thing with a Taekwondo guy. Same thing with a judoka. Same thing with a Greco-Roman wrestler. Those kind of things, right? Because if he's got some knowledge, what I need to do is paint a picture so that I can present the form and move so it's believable. So he will make assumptions about what I'm probably going to do, how he's going to handle it, right? And then when we come together, I don't do that. And I'm not doing it from over here. I'm not doing it when he can't see it. Because when he gets hit by what looked like a wrestler, it's going to cause some confusion, right? When he gets a wrist broken in a wrist reversal by somebody who looks like a boxer, they don't have joint locks. Do you understand where I'm going with this? Okay. The ultimate unseen point on anyone is their mind, their beliefs. For most of us, myself included, right? Our beliefs are bullshit. Okay. Because at a certain point, I mean, life's been working well for us for the most part, right? Doing a free webinar tomorrow night on this whole idea of what causes suffering and discontent and those kind of things, right? But the only reason why we don't know that our bullshit is bullshit is because we haven't hit that situation or point or problem or whatever in our life where what we think we know doesn't work. Okay. So anyway, right? Always questioning beliefs, always questioning those kind of things, right? Because one of the things that we have, right, in the Ninja's 8 gates, for those of you who have been through the Ninja no Hachimon program that I have, right? There's a whole section, there's a whole module, a whole gate on that Ninja no Uge that I'm talking about, deception and manipulation, right? But the 8th gate is Ninja no Kyomon, knowledge, study, right? That is the cure to make sure that somebody can't use Ninja no Uge, deception and manipulation, on me. Okay? I make it as difficult as possible for somebody to blow smoke up my ass. Okay? Because if they have your mind, they have you. All right. That's where I'm going to wrap it up. Hopefully you'll make it in for the Friday virtual training, right? If you follow that link over, you can, it's $4.99 for a 75 to 90 minute class. We're going to be doing techniques and all that to show how this stuff works. If that's not your cup of tea, if you already think you know it, or $4.99 is too much, for a class, whatever, right? I've already given you enough that you can take that and overlay it over the stuff you know and ramp things up. All right. So if that works for you, great. I'll see you next week, right? If not, I'll see you on Friday. All right. So again, thanks for joining me for another of our Warriors Whiteboard Wednesday.